86 of Good Luck High Five.
That's right. You're listening to a podcast that's for you if you play Magic the Gathering. Whether you are, heading into Standard or what's Explorer? Alchemy? Historic?
Just drafting it up.
We are here for you.
I'm one of your hosts, Maria.
I'm another one of your hosts, Meghan.
And on today's show, we are going to get you ready for this weekend's new Capenna Championship.
Wow, it is coming at us. It is going to be Standard and Historic. So we're going to talk all about those formats and what's happening in them right now. Because do you know what? I didn't know until we started talking about it.
There's so many different formats now. There are more formats at this moment in time than there have ever been in the history of Magic Gathering.
There are only ever going to be more formats.
We just got Explorer added into the mix.
Yes.
As a way to make us a bridge towards Pioneer on Arena.
So many formats.
Historic, relatively new, all things considered.
Pretty new.
Standard, we don't think about it as much because we've got all these other formats.
So many other formats, but it's still here. It's like, I'm here. I'm important. Pay attention to me.
Yes. We're also going to talk about the World Championship because at the new Capenna Championship, we are feeding the World Championship.
Yes. It wants dinner.
It must
hungry.
have blood.
It must feed, yes. And so we will decide who will be sacrificed to the World Championship.
Must feed. We've got 19 people we've got to send to the World Championship this weekend.
That are going to be earning their spots this weekend, which is absolutely wild. So we'll look a little bit at who's already qualified and who could potentially qualify this weekend because that list is long. But before we do that, there are some people we must thank. First and foremost amongst them are always you, the listeners and patrons of this show. Thank you so much to everyone who supports us over on patreon.com/GLHF Magic, and especially to Nope and Nathan for their new and increased pledges.
Thank you, Nope and Nathan.
Thank you both so very, very much. It is just such a great thing each week to come in and be like, hey, we get to say, like, we added new people to the Patreon family this week because it is so important to being able to keep the show going.
And we feel like you truly are members of the Good Luck High Five family.
Yes.
Over on Patreon, you get to hang out in our Discord with other family members, and it's like family members you actually like.
Yeah, exactly. It's the ones that you want to sit next to at Thanksgiving.
Exactly.
And not the ones that you're like, oh, are they walking into the kitchen? I will walk into the other room now.
I thought you were going to say the oven.
What? Are they walking into the oven?
No, they're walking in the kitchen and you're like, I'm going into the oven. Me and that turkey are going to get roasted.
Wow.
Because I don't want to talk to them. Yeah, so everybody here, we love everybody here and we cannot thank you enough. Just takes a minute to sign up. And we would love to have more people with names who start with N next week.
Oh.
So you're on notice, N's.
Wow. There you go. If your name starts with an N, challenge. Become a patron or increase your pledge just a little.
We're gonna say thank you to Card Kingdom too.
Oh my goodness, Card Kingdom.
We love them.
It's spring. Why not spring into Card Kingdom?
We just nonstop great slogans for them.
Spring into Card Kingdom because they're a delightful store.
Oh,
spring into their website.
Cardkingdom.com/GLHF. Use that link to buy whatever you need for your magical life. Get yourself a box of Streets of New Capenna, whatever you want.
Yes.
They've got tons of singles.
Yes.
I love using their search function to find singles that I need for decks because I just love to foil out my deck. So now that we're playing more in paper,
Maria likes fancy cards.
I just love the fancy
Maria's
things.
got a fancy card itch.
It's a problem. But yeah, Card Kingdom is great because it's so easy to find what you want and in what condition you want because you can pay a little less if they're not, new mint or whatever. So I suggest checking that out, searching for the cards that you need over there. Say GLHF in your order. They'll give you a sticker or token for free.
Fancy.
Just a fantastic company.
Yeah, man.
And before we hit the show, I also want to say a huge thank you to everybody who supported in our abortion fundraiser drive.
Yes. We had so many donations.
Thank you so much from the bottom of our hearts, everybody. We raised more than $3,000 to help women get access to the health care that they should have access to.
Yes.
But you helped them actually get it. So thank you so much, everyone.
Maria, it's time for me to surprise you with basketball news.
Oh my gosh, basketball news.
I
We haven't had an
know,
update in
it's
so
back.
long.
Well, that's because it was a full year until the playoffs happened again.
Okay.
And I will only make you listen to me talk about playoffs basketball. All right, so as you may know,
Did you know, everybody, that
probably really don't.
There's a basketball news segment of the show?
There's a basketball news segment of the
Here you
show
go.
when I'm feeling like it.
Let's go.
Because if you don't know out there, during the regular season, I'm a big Spurs fan because that's where I grew up. Even though they're not good now, I will forever think that Tim Duncan and Manu Ginobili are two of the best basketball players who have ever lived.
These names mean something to me.
But also in the postseason, I'm a huge Milwaukee Bucks fan just because I love their star player, Giannis Antetokounmpo, who is...
What a great name.
Yes. He's like probably the best basketball player in the world right now, right? Because he's the best basketball player in the U.S. And
Is
that
he the
means
one
he's
they
the best
call
basketball
the
player.
Greek freak?
Yeah, that is him.
Wow, look at it. I knew something.
He's 6'11" and his wingspan is 7'3".
His arms are taller than his body?
Yes, his arms are longer across. And you can tell when he dunks the basketball,
That's
man, you're just
horrifying.
like... So there are some moves that he makes and you're like, you can't stop that. How are you supposed to stop that? You can't. Anyways, but unfortunately, Maria,
What?
The Bucks lost their game 7 against the Boston Celtics. I am really bummed.
Well,
And
I'm mad at the Boston Celtics for pronouncing Celtic incorrectly.
I know, right?
So,
Why did we allow that to happen whenever it started happening?
who did that?
Bad times.
Not too late to
and
change.
also, but we are rooting for them over the Miami Heat.
Okay.
Because Jimmy Butler is a big bummer, okay? And just, I don't like the Miami Heat. Don't ask me why.
It's too
I
hot.
just don't.
It's too hot down there.
Exactly. And the Dallas Mavericks annihilated the Phoenix Suns
Okay.
in Game 7
I like a good annihilation.
at home. Like, the Phoenix Suns were on their home court, and they just got brutally murdered.
That's fun. That's
It was
fun.
pretty atrocious. So if you're like Meghan, who are you rooting for at this point? Because I know that you were a Phoenix Suns fan after the Milwaukee Bucks fan. The answer is now Golden State. Maybe you think that they were too good for too long and so they should still be the bad guys. But do you know what? I like watching Steph Curry play basketball because he's good at it. This has been Maria's forcible basketball playoffs update.
You're just getting a little something extra.
Exactly. I love playoffs. It's a good time. Do you know what I love? A good bracket. Brackets are great, man. Seating is incredible.
I'm seeding my garden right now.
Oh, that's really nice. The gardens are also really cool.
Hey, everybody, guess what? This weekend is the new Capenna Championship.
I'm tired.
And that's how we open this segment. Are you tired? Guess
Are you
what?
tired?
You don't have to do anything. You just have to watch
That's true.
it.
You just have to watch it. You just have to watch it.
Our butts have to work it.
Yes.
Your
I've
butts
just
get to
been-
watch it.
I've just been slammed with work for like a month now.
Yeah.
And while I'm excited about this because it is a really cool event and I do love watching all this magic, work me is also having a moment where
Yeah.
I'm just feeling tired about it.
It's a lot of work. It's a lot of work to bring these tournaments to you. Truly,
It's a lot.
a huge amount of work goes in behind the scenes to make these
Yeah.
tournaments come out of your television sets.
Exactly.
And we hope you enjoy it. We're going to be kicking this off Friday, Saturday, Sunday
Yeah.
coverage all weekend long, starting at 9 a.m. Pacific on twitch.tv/magic.
Yeah.
And we're going to be playing Standard and Historic.
Wow. Super exciting.
Yeah, Standard, we have, brand new set, Streets of New Capenna.
Yes.
Infusing into Standard and in
I
fact
wonder
Historic.
what it's going to do.
I know, that's the big question on everybody's minds because it's been a hot minute since
Is there perhaps a rares.deck?
Is that
that is out there?
Is that what you're hoping for? You look very hopeful when you said that.
Oh no, I'm saying that there is one. There is a deck that is,
yes.
feels like
Yes,
rares.deck.
there is. There sure is. Rares.deck. We're going to talk to you about the top decks that we expect to see this weekend in Standard and the top decks we expect to see in Historic. However, we could be wrong. We don't know. We don't have a magic crystal ball
No.
to find out what the players registered. That information will be public on Friday when the tournament
Gaze
starts.
into this crystal ball.
But it's always so exciting exciting to see what players bring rogue decks, not literally, but figuratively rogue decks.
For a while.
Literally. It was literal.
It was quite literal for a while there.
I always love everybody who brings a spicy deck out of nowhere to these tournaments. So we might see that. But we're going to focus on the information we do know heading into the tournament, and then talk about the World Championship, because this tournament is not just about Standard and Historic people.
No, it is about historic people.
Historic
this
people.
tournament is not about Standard
Benjamin
and
Franklin.
historic people. Standard people being, your neighbor Kevin.
Yeah.
And historic people
being Abraham
Lincoln. It's
At
not
all.
just about those. It is also about the World Championship.
Because the World Championship is coming up this fall. It's going to be a bit different than World Championships of the recent past. There's going to be 32 players, which is bigger than our past two. And coming up in the future, they're going to be even bigger than that.
It's going way into
overdrive.
triple-digit territory.
But this year, 32 players, and we've only have a few that have already qualified.
Yeah, not many.
Not many. So we have 19 spots to give away at this tournament.
Over half.
And the World Championship is a huge deal.
Yes.
It is a huge deal.
It's really exciting to be crowned the world champion.
It's so we wouldn't know, but we feel like it's exciting.
Yeah, we've been adjacent to the excitement.
We've been
of being
next to
crowned
them as they were
world
crowned.
Champion.
I wish it was a real crown.
That would be good. Why isn't it?
Boop, boop, boop.
I
That's
don't
the sound
know.
of a crown being lowered magically under their head.
There's a lot of complicated feelings around crowns.
That's true. So,
But there should be complicated feelings around trophies too. So boom. How about that? Put that in your hopper and chew on it.
Hopper?
I don't know.
What goes in a hopper?
Things that you're gonna toast.
Oh,
right?
What is a hopper? I think
hopper is okay, you know how this is going to end up being wrong, but I'm going to go with what I think it is.
Go with your gut.
Okay. You know how when you roast a pig on a spit
yes.
and it's on the stick and it turned over the fire?
Yeah.
I think a hopper is like that, but instead of
you just put stuff in it.
It's like a big metal can that's on the stick over the fire and then it's turned.
And so you would just throw bread in there and it would toast.
Yeah, popcorn.
Popcorn. Oh, okay. I'm down with popcorn. One of the greatest foods.
What is it?
Are you Googling hopper? And it's just a picture of a frog.
Okay.
Like when you Googled ABS and it was a bunch of abs.
Yeah.
The greatest Google of all time.
Okay, I was wrong.
Oh, well, you sounded pretty right.
Okay, thank you. When you say it with confidence. Definition of hopper: A, one that hops.
Well, yeah.
Anyways.
But we're talking about the food preparation.
Okay, a funnel-shaped receptacle for delivering materials such as grain or coal.
Okay.
So I think it's those things where it's it's a big...
It's a big funnel
silo,
and you dump
then
it.
At the bottom is a funnel kind of looking thing.
Oh, okay.
A cone, an upside down cone that
a dumping cone, if you will. See,
I would describe a hopper as a dumping cone. Yeah,
they called it a dumping cone for years, but then someone was like,
"No, we're going to change that." Okay. Put that in your hopper and let
dump it.
And dump it.
Dump that in your hopper.
Anyways.
Yes. So Standard Historic plus World Championship equals big time tournament time. And this is the last kind of big tournament before the World Championship too. For Magic, before we start kicking off the new way that we're doing things with regional championships later this fall.
And then the return of Pro Tours early next year.
Wild.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we're kind of sunsetting, the set championships and all that kind of stuff from COVID.
Wow.
Here we've been doing digitally for 2 years now.
2 years, which is really strange to think about.
That's very weird.
Very, very strange.
It feels like it's been our reality for so long.
I know.
And now we're going to go back to the old reality next year.
All right. So let's look at some of these standard lists.
Yes.
Top of the top right now is an Esper mid-range deck. This is what I was calling Rare's deck. Because it just is. It has 4 copies of Luminarch Aspirant.
Love you, buddy.
Which is, of course, our one that puts a counter on a creature at the beginning of combat on your turn. Tenacious Underdog. This is a new card.
I love this card.
This card is great. It's a 1 and a black for a 3/2, but it has Blitz for 2 black and paying 2 life. But you're like, that seems like an exorbitant Blitz cost. And it is, except that you can Blitz it from the graveyard.
Yeah,
every turn if you want.
I love it. I absolutely love this card. It's so fantastic in this deck, and it makes it such a threat because if you've got, if you're doing the creature thing, you're like, I'm playing Luminarch Aspirant, I'm playing some Legion Angels, like your classic mid-range kind of cards, and you get swept.
Do you want to block and trade with this ever? No, because they're just going to draw a card and then do it again next turn.
Here's the thing. This card is so absurd. Even if you're not like doing it during combat or whatever, you just blitz it back just to draw a card.
Just to draw a card.
It doesn't matter.
You're like, okay, do you know what? It's not going to get through whatever, right? If they have a 4/4 blocker and you're like, okay, it can't, but I'm still going to do it.
Just going to
do it. Still going to do it.
It's just wonderful. It's such reach that mid-range decks, sometimes if they manage to peter out and don't have game against control late game, they're like, well, I did all my big things. This
card is like a very mean card for control.
You better be exiling their graveyard. That's all I have to say.
Which Farewell does do.
Yes, that's true.
That has Rafine, Scheming Seer. This, of course, is our white, blue, black, Obscura, in charge. Overlord, person in charge. Sphinx Demon. 1/4 flying ward 1. Whenever you attack, target attacking creature connives X, where X is the number of attacking creatures. It's just very good.
It's just a great card.
Just draw cards a bunch.
Draw a million cards.
And
then pitch your tenacious underdogs to the
you can just like drop them in your graveyard and you'll get them back.
Dump them in the hopper cone. They'll come on back.
Put them on in there.
Yeah.
Obscura Interceptor. This is kind of like a nice tempo-y type card.
Yeah, for sure.
This is 1 white, blue, black, flash lifelink for a 3/1. I also really like the lifelink on it, right? You can get back that life that you're spending on these tenacious underdogs. When it enters the battlefield, it connives. When it connives, you return a spell or a permanent to its owner's hand.
Yeah.
Spell being a very important part here.
Yes, absolutely. Effectively countering something until the next turn if you want to. And then, of course, being a mid-range deck, we're playing some Planeswalkers.
Yep, we've got Kato in here because why not? Drawing all the cards. Of course, Wandering Emperor, just the hotness right now.
Yeah.
Some of them have maybe a copy of a Lolth Spider Queen for a little late game reach. Some removal in Vanishing Verse.
Yeah, solid.
Meat Hook Massacre if they want access to it.
Think about Meat Hook Massacre plus, I know I keep talking about the underdog, but plus Tenacious Underdog. What are they going to do?
Exactly. And it dies every turn, giving you a Meat Hook Massacre trigger.
Yeah.
Wow.
Just keep hooking them. Drawing cards and hooking them.
Wedding Announcement, which again draws cards or makes you creatures, whichever you need more, really.
This deck is so good.
This deck just is a mid-range master.
I mean, this is like a mid-range masterpiece.
Yeah.
A masterpiece theater.
Exactly. It's PBS. Like, hey, do you want cards? Do you want card advantage? Do you want tempo advantage? Do you want creature advantage? Here it all is. In a nice little package with a bow on it.
I think this is the best deck right now in Standard.
I mean, it seems like, and it is very popular right now, reflecting that.
Yes. If you're playing on the ladder, you'll run into it constantly because it is so strong. But I will say this for it, if we happen to see a bunch of this at the tournament, that I think the mirrors are extremely interesting.
Oh, that's always nice. And I mean, mid-range mirrors do tend to really ask a lot of players in terms of, have you tested this matchup? Have you played this matchup?
Oh, absolutely.
Do you have the play skill to get there on it?
Yeah, 100%.
So, yeah. All right. Esper mid-range coming in pretty near the top of the list probably this weekend.
I would imagine so. It's just everywhere on Arena.
Yeah. Speaking of card advantage, though, we've got another card creature advantage engine here.
Oh, yeah.
In Naya Runes.
That's
right. We all know it. Depending on how you feel about runes, you love it or you hate it.
Yep. There's no middle ground here.
But it is here in Standard.
Yeah. Naya Runes was the deck that came to the last tournament as kind of like, this is the big deck to beat.
But the problem was everyone was gunning for it, so it did get beaten.
Yes, it did.
It got absolutely hammered in the metagame.
Turns out you can play a little 2/3 flyer that only lets you play one spell each turn.
Archon of Emeria is just like, let me shut down your entire plan.
So if Naya Runes is brought to this tournament in numbers, maybe they're thinking, maybe people are going to be ignoring it and they're playing Esper and they're not going to play the Archon main and we can just sneak in there.
Yeah, we'll get a game 1 because they don't have Archon.
Yeah.
And then we only need to get game 2 or 3.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I don't mind that.
If you're unfamiliar with this deck, well, guess what? You play a little creature.
You play something like Generous Visitor, Jukai Naturalist, Kami of Transience, at the upper end, Runeforge Champion, which is still just 2 and a white, and goes and gets you a rune.
Then you slap a bunch of runes on these little dudes. You pump them up.
Bump them up.
You bump and pumping up.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely.
And you turn them sideways.
Yes, right. It has also a bunch of card advantage engines like the runes themselves, but also Fable of the Mirror Breaker, which is a very powerful card right now, and Showdown of the Skalds, which has been around obviously since call time, and it's just quite good.
Yeah, if you run out of gas with your runes, if you just happen to just draw lands or whatever, slap down your Showdown of the Skalds, reload your hand, play a bunch of other stuff, put counters on your creatures. It's a really, really, really good aggressive deck.
Yeah.
That I thought was a joke the first time I played against it.
You're like, oh, look at this funny.
Joke was on me.
Look at this funny thing you're doing.
I had egg on my face. I'm not afraid to admit it.
Mono white. Out and about in Standard right now. Yeah.
Classic mono white.
It truly is. Bunch of 1-drops like Hopeful Initiate, which has training, which is nice, gets bigger. Usher of the Fallen, which is a 1-drop with Boast.
Make a little 1/1.
Also great. Of course, Intrepid Adversary to pump up your team. Luminarch Aspirant to pump up your team. Thalia, Guardian of Thraben to pump the brakes on your opponent.
Let's slow things down.
Adeline Resplendent Cather, who makes a 1/1 when you're attacking. Elite Spellbinder, who we've seen ever since Strixhaven.
This is a classic deck that we've had kicking around in Standard as a competitive deck now for a while.
Yep.
So I wouldn't be surprised to see people bring this one this weekend if Naya Runes isn't their speed.
Yeah, exactly. Do you know what? It's quick. It hits hard.
Yes. And it has disruption.
Exactly. And it might just get the job done.
Mono white aggro. Classic deck. Rakdos Sacrifice is another one we expect to see this weekend for sure.
Yeah, this is a deck that I will say it is cool. I don't know that it's great.
I thought you were going to say, I don't know that I like it.
I like that it's trying to do something cool and there's a lot of interaction in this deck.
Can I tell you that I just can't with these decks?
Yeah, tell me about it.
Ever since Cat Oven.
Oh, to you, it's like a Cat Oven deck, and you're like, stop with the triggers on the stack.
I just can't handle all of these triggers on this stack. After Cat Oven, it just ruined it for me.
I'm sorry.
And so all these other decks, which, yes, I agree with you, it's trying to win on a different axis than these other decks, which is cool. You're using really neat cards.
Most notably Oni Cult Anvil.
Yes, precisely.
It's kind of like the hallmark of this deck to let you, like, if you get 2 of these down, you sacrifice 1 artifact, make 2 things.
Gross.
Right? And like it just kind of keeps multiplying from there.
Yeah, you just make yourself a little sacrifice engine, pinging your opponent. But I just have such horrible memories.
You are traumatized.
Yes, by
you're
Cat Oven.
traumatized, and I just don't know that it's good enough.
Maybe you're right.
I'll be honest. I don't I've played against it on the ladder a couple of times, and every time I was like, this deck is cool, but also then I beat it.
So why do you beat it?
It just even though it has all this card advantage, at the end of the day, you can still wipe all that away, right? At the end of the day, it is still making 1/1s. It still is only pinging you for 1.
Sure.
I guess to be fair, when I was playing control decks against it, you just have Farewell, which has exile all artifacts as a choice on it. And you're just like, okay, you went through you spent 4 turns setting up this really cool engine, and I'm just like, goodbye to all of it. It fades into the mist.
That's
forever.
Be a fabulous fades into the mist.
I mean, because it does. The arena has the swirling mist too when you cast stuff like Farewell, right? And so, yeah, exactly. When I've played it, I've just been like, okay,
yeah, who cares?
Exactly. Like, I don't know that it's going fast enough and generating enough advantage.
Well, when you've got a deck like Naya Runes, which can really get you dead pretty fast, or mono white.
Or even Esper midrange, right? Where it's like they're also generating advantage and their creatures are just better.
Yeah.
They're not making 1/1 constructs, they're making actual creatures.
So let's talk about a deck that features a Planeswalker that was the talk of the town when it hit release day, which was Ob Nixilis.
Yeah.
So we're going to talk about Jund Minrange because people were like, hey, Ob Nixilis is the truth. And if you're not playing Ob Nixilis, you're losing.
You're a dummy.
Yeah, that's kind of how people made you feel.
That's Ob Nixilis' patented terminology. That's how he prefers you refer to doubters as just as
dummies.
Big dummies.
You big dummies.
You big dummy.
I'm wearing a suit and it's got pinstripes.
Yeah, it is a good suit, man.
It's got holes in the back for my wings, probably. I had to have a special tailor.
Yeah. Also, how does he get it on?
How would he get it on?
I'm asking a legitimate question right now.
Okay, here's my guess.
Okay.
So it's got 2 slits in the back for his wings.
Yeah.
He pulls it over his head. That's already going to be quite complicated because you got to get the arms in. Pull it in.
Wait, I do feel like all of his shirts pull on, not over.
Okay.
Right? He's wearing all button-ups.
All right. Yeah, so it's a button up. So you pull it on, and there's 2 slits in the back for the wings. And then, much like the diaper butt of a onesie, he snaps it under the wing.
Oh my goodness. I can't take that seriously if I'm being honest.
How else would you do it? It's good if you
exactly.
gotta snap it.
I don't know. I think that it does have to be like the back of his suit is essentially doesn't exist. Essentially doesn't exist because he has to be able to get his wings through it, and they're enormous wings.
Maybe it's just 2 flaps and they just hang there.
Maybe he only is wearing the front and sleeve of his suit jacket.
Like a dickie?
Yeah. It's like a little bit more. Okay, hear me out. He's not buttoning up the front. What he's doing is it's just the front of his suit. And he puts his arms through the sleeves and pulls the shoulders back over his shoulders, and then maybe it has a little tie at the back.
And he's like,
the front
don't stand behind me. No reason. Just
That's why
don't
this
do
art
it.
is only from the front. It's no 3/4 view. It's because his suit doesn't exist in back. That's my theory.
Okay, I like that theory. There's 4 of them in this deck. 4 Omnix.
Okay, anyways, yes. Jund midrange, 4 Nixilis. It's also using Renin 7, who we've seen a lot of.
Yeah.
This deck has a lot of hits. Classic Jund, it also is basically a rare stud deck a lot of the time.
Yeah.
Asika's Chariot, an all cat store, maybe.
Oh, yes.
Fable of the Mirror Breaker. Again, a great card. Magda Brazen Outlaw, who we've seen a ton of. Just a 4 Goldspan Dragon.
Just the hits of the hit. Play the hits, Johnny.
Exactly.
Classic Jund.
Yeah.
Just play the best cards. So I want to see how this deck does because people were just not stop talking about Ob Nixilis.
Yeah.
Which you can do some very nasty things with, but what you really want to do is make multiple copies of.
Yeah, you just want to make so many copies of him.
I don't know if you've all played against Ob Nixilis multiple copies, but it is a living nightmare.
Yeah.
This card's so good. And you're just like, oh, well, I have to kill them. And it's not just worrying about 1 Planeswalker, but 2.
2. You got to kill 2? Woof.
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 This deck also plays Ziatora.
The Incinerator. This card is a meanie.
Yeah.
So this is 3 black, red, green for a legendary creature, Demon Dragon, 6/6 flying. At the beginning of your end step, you may sacrifice another creature. When you do, Ziatora the Incinerator deals damage equal to that creature's power to any target, and you create 3 treasure tokens.
Gross.
Yeah. That's pretty brutal.
This weekend, I played in the Arena Open. I didn't get all the way through to day 2, but my opponents, one of them, tell me if this person was real or if somehow they got on a special whitelist. They had Ob Nixilis. They had Ziatora the Incinerator. They had Mr. Oreo. They had the 5/4 haste Jund. I can't remember. That is an uncommon, a rare. Yeah, it's a rare. 5/4 haste blitz that makes tokens, I want to say, or something. Anyway, they had basically every Riveteer's rare possible.
Wow.
And I was just sitting there, I was just like, what? What is happening?
Yeah, man.
That's what this deck reminds me of.
Yeah.
Anyway, so Jund Minrange
Best of the best.
could be a heavy hitter in more ways than one at the championship this weekend. Let's transition over into Historic now.
Woo!
Because we've got Historic in this tournament too, and you can't talk about Historic without talking about Is It Phoenix?
Yep, it's been on top for a long time. It is still a really good deck.
Oh, yeah.
Well, we see a bunch of it. What else are you going to say?
I mean, this deck is so strong.
Draw them cards, discard them cards, cast them spells, bring back them phoenixes.
It's just such a fabulous deck. You're able to draw cards, to find what you need at an accelerated rate. You pitch stuff to the graveyard like your Arclight Phoenix. It just comes back and hits them anyway, even if they deal with it. You're just going to draw more cards, discard more cards, pump up your whatever creatures you have, and deal a million damage.
Exactly. Yeah, you've got the Dragon's Rage Channelers as well.
Just grows.
Stormwing Entities.
Grows.
Yep.
Sprite Dragon.
Grows. They're just, it's the deck that does what it does and has always done the same thing. Is it Phoenix? You got to admire the fact it will never tell you it's something it's not.
It is it? And it is Phoenix.
Exactly. From day one, it's been like, here's what I do. That's the only thing I'm going to keep doing.
Yeah. I think the deck's the best deck in Historic. Not close. And we'll see what happens this weekend. There is a deck that can tango with it, though.
Yes. And I think that part of the reason why we've seen Phoenix even on the rise more recently is because Golgari Food's share of the metagame has been diminishing.
Yeah. Golgari Food's the deck that I was alluding to.
Yeah.
Which, once again, gives me hives because of the amount of triggers. Speaking of Cat
this
Oven.
has been a deck that more people have stepped away from just because of how time and skill and practice intensive it is.
Absolutely.
You cannot just, it's a great deck. It is a very, very good deck in Historic, but you need to have put in the time and the effort and the energy to be able to pilot it correctly.
Yeah, there's so many triggers and so many little decisions that come your way with this deck that you better know what you're doing. You better be cognizant because you're here playing this tournament for like thousands and thousands of dollars.
Yeah.
Lots of stress.
Yeah.
Anxiety on your shoulders during this tournament. And you're like, oops, I misclicked.
No.
Ooh.
Nope.
You've got to be in it if you're playing this deck.
In it. So yeah, again, really stellar. Maybe we'll see some of it, but also maybe not. If people are like, I need to focus on Standard. Standard's very fresh right now.
Yeah.
I've got to put in the time to actually get that right.
And it's new.
And I can't spend 50 hours grinding Golgari Food to make sure that I can do it correctly.
Putting my cats in ovens. Ooh,
Yes.
what a nightmare. You know, props to
Truly.
people who are playing that deck because I could not. Rakdos Arcanist is a deck
Great deck.
that I love as well.
Yep. So this is a deck that it's interesting. I know some people who are very high on this deck before the rebalancing of Painful Bond.
Sure.
Because that deck, that card, as you can imagine, was quite good, right? It's in the very, very, very low CMC that this deck wants to play with. And back when Painful Bond originally said mana value 3 or greater deals 1 damage to you, now it says mana value 3 or less.
Right.
When it said 3 or greater, this card had no drawback for
No
Arcanist.
downside.
Literally none. So at this point, you know, Arcanist, are people going to be playing it now that it's been nerfed a little bit by losing that? Then again, Arcanist was a good deck before Painful Bond was even around at all.
This deck is so fun to play, everybody.
Yeah, it's a good time.
It's a really good time. Dreadhorde Arcanist is one heck of a card.
Yeah.
Flashing back stuff from your graveyard. I just really, really like the little incremental advantages you gain over time with this deck.
Yeah. It's, really rude. It'll thought seize you a billion times.
Yeah, it sure will.
Thought seize you and then play
Fatal
an Arcanist.
push your little creatures and
exactly.
do it all over again.
Wow. Rude.
Rakdos Arcanist.
Yeah. I had never even thought about how well Croxa and Fatal Push work together. Because you got to sacrifice it so you get your revolt.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Now a deck I hope to see at the tournament.
Oh, Maria, you always do.
As I always do. Azorius Auras is still kicking around
Pretty
in
great.
Historic. It's still a strong deck.
Yeah. Not a lot that has changed here. You know, some debate on, do you play Light Paws? Do you not play Light Paws? How many Esper Sentinels? Do you play Esper Sentinel?
Do you play Storm Chaser Drake instead of Light Paws, for instance?
Yeah.
I love this deck. You have a creature, you put a bunch of auras on it, and you attack for 1,000,000 damage with one creature suited up with a bunch of auras. There's a lot of ways to gain life with this deck, which is also really fun.
Yeah.
In a format that might be, thinking about incremental damage like Golgari Food or something like that. So I love this deck. As always, I love pants. Putting on my pants in the morning, one leg at a time. With Azorius Aura. So I'm excited to see that potentially this weekend.
Yeah. Speaking of Azorius, there's also been an affinity deck.
Oh, yeah.
Which is, despite you think affinity, like, isn't that colorless? Well, Esper Sentinel is in here. It's white.
Yep.
We also have stuff like Thought Monitor, which is blue. This deck, I feel like, it was none other than Jean-Emmanuel Depras. Is it a tournament if he's not in the top 8? Jean-Emmanuel Depras was playing this at the last event.
Yeah.
And everyone was just like, what is this? And he was like, hello, I'm in the top 8.
Yes, exactly.
That's what this is.
I love this deck because it reminds everybody of modern Affinity.
Yeah.
Which isn't really played anymore.
No, because they got rid of their mocks.
Yeah, the mocks get out of here. But this Affinity still survives here in Historic, and it's a ton of fun playing a bunch of small artifacts and then profiting off of playing a bunch of small artifacts like Ornithopter. Hello, that's in this deck.
You get to cast Thought Monitor very early. This is 6 and a blue affinity for artifacts flying. When it enters the battlefield, draw 2 cards. It's a 2/2.
Nice.
So, you could just cast this for nothing.
Cast this for essentially nothing. Blue.
Ingenious Smith, which goes and gets you more stuff. You get to Metallic Rebuke people, which is a counter spell that has Improvise on it. Stuff like Reverse Engineer, which also has Improvise on it. Just some cool stuff, man.
It's a really fun deck. Nettle Cyst in this deck to do just hordes and hordes of damage to your opponent. I just think it's a cool deck. I think Affinity's cool.
Yeah. I would love to see this deck, honestly. I love to see people playing it. I think it would be a fun time if people bring this.
All right. So fingers crossed we see some sweet Affinity action this weekend in Historic. Well, we've talked about a bunch of cool decks. I think this is setting up to be potentially a very cool tournament.
I know. I'm very interested to see, It's been so long where we get a tournament pretty soon after a new set.
Yes, that's true.
So we're getting to see some pretty fresh new Capenna Standard.
Yeah, setting the standard
exciting.
With new Capenna here at this tournament. Well, as we talked about at the top of the segment, we're not only focusing on Standard Historic, the top 8 for this tournament, but also who's going to Worlds, baby.
That's right. So we already have some qualified players. We have obviously last year's world champion, Yuta Takahashi.
Back to defend
it's going to be that.
The proverbial crown.
Yeah, we have the top 6 finishers from the Innistrad Championship, including friend Simon Gertzen. Is in there. And then we have the top 6 from the Neon Dynasty Championship, which has, of course, Jean-Emmanuel Depras, who we just talked about.
Yep.
So, there's some players already in here. So that's 6 and 6 is 12 and then 13.
Yep.
Which is why we're getting our 19 this weekend. It'll be the top 6 from just, top 6.
The top 8.
Exactly.
The top 6 of the top 8.
Then it'll be the top 5 players in league standings.
Yeah, so that's MPL and Rivals. Doesn't matter, either one.
Yeah, exactly.
Top.
Leading that right now, it's anybody's race.
It truly is.
The top 12 people could essentially just all still get in there.
Yeah.
Probably even more. Exactly. But especially the top 12, the difference between Shota Yasuoka, who's leading the pack here with 66 points, and then David Inglis down at 11 with 57 points. 9-point spread.
Yeah.
12 players, and we're narrowing it down to 5?
Yikes.
Whoa, buddy.
This is going to be, we've got Shota Yasuoka, who's at the top in the running.
Yeah.
Logan Nettles is in second.
Yep.
He's your MTGO grinder, who just always seems to be winning a Mox every other weekend.
Yep.
We've got Shintaro Ishimura, Reed Duke, Andre Strosky, Pyotr Glogovsky, Martial Cavallo, Paulo Vitor Damadurosa, Kai Buda.
Wow. Just You could just chop it there and send those people to the World Championship, and no one would bat an eye at like the quality of the field, because it would be a stellar field.
It's gonna be a bloodbath out there this weekend.
Only 5. Only 5
from that list are gonna be qualified for this tournament. So
yeah,
oh
and then it's
boy.
the top 8 challengers in the standings. And do you know what? There's tons of names that you know here too.
Absolutely.
Right? Greg Orange is right
citrus
here at the
assassin.
top. Simon Nielsen right here at the top. Yeah, like even recently on the Rivals, Matt Nass. He's on this board.
Kenji Samura from
Yeah.
the Pro Tour days.
Yeah.
Love talking to Kenji. He's on this. He's in the running.
Yeah. So it's still, again, also anybody's game over here.
Yeah, so lots of important stuff to be decided this weekend at the for the World Championship.
Yeah.
Coming up this fall. So if you have some free time, we highly encourage you to tune in at twitch.tv/magic Friday, Saturday, Sunday, all day starting at 9 a.m. Pacific to watch the action. Sunday is the top 8. There's just so much action and the stakes are so incredibly high almost constantly throughout the tournament that it's going to be great watching no matter what, because something will almost always inevitably be on the line, and every match means so much for each player.
Wild.
So yeah, I think
Come
it's
and
going to
watch.
be a
It's
great
gonna be
time.
a good time. I have profiles that I wrote for Greg Orange, which is already up. If you want to be very charmed by how no matter how many successes he has in a row, he will always describe a success as surprising. Go read that one.
Oh, Greg
Literally
Orange.
every time he was just like, that was really, and then I went 10-5 at the Pro Tour, and that was really surprising. And then I went 10-5 at the next one, and that was really surprising. And I'm just
The
like,
only person
surprised.
surprised.
The only person surprised by Greg Orange's success
is Greg Orange.
And then I just talked to Simon Nielsen, who's really had his head in the race for the World Championship ever since they announced how it was going to happen.
Yeah.
He's just like, this is my chance. I am gunning for it.
Great.
And he's like, I really want to make, like, if I make day 2, I'm locked. And if I'm not, then we might have matches where I'm playing like Shuhei Nakamura and we're both 2-5 or like not 2, like 1-4, hoping to be the person who goes 2-5 so that we definitely like lock our spot or something.
Oh my gosh.
Right? Like, seriously, matches up and down the Swiss even that matter before you make it to the top 8.
Okay, so there's our pitch for you to come hang out with us this weekend.
Yeah.
At twitch.tv/magic. We'd love to see you there. It'll be a super fun tournament. Get those pizza rolls ready. Totino's, call us.
Seriously. Maria,
Yes.
I just want to say congratulations
For what?
for graduating to a better deck box.
Oh, thank you. I did a lot of work this semester, and I'm happy to graduate.
Yeah, do you know what? I think that you should have had honors in attacking with creatures.
Thank you. I did graduate magna cum laude,
Oh, okay.
So I
I don't
did.
know what that means.
but I could have been summa,
Oh, yeah.
Didn't quite get there.
I feel like you should have been. But
Well, here we are.
this is the alcove vault that we are talking about in our graduation video.
Yeah, so we're going to show that video to you
Yeah.
in just a second, but this is the deck box featured in that video.
Yeah,
and
it is incredible.
If you're like, I want the greatest deck box
Yes.
that exists, check this puppy out.
This is gorgeous. It holds 2 different double sleeve, like 100 card double sleeves decks.
Yep.
It also has dice, like a spot for your dice in
Whatever
here.
you want, like a
Look
little
at this.
middle component
little pocket.
for whatever you want to put in it.
Exactly.
It's got this
Dice,
The one we
tokens.
have has a beautiful suede blue finish on it.
And these magnets are strong enough that once Maria snapped her finger in there and it hurt.
If these magnets will,
So.
nothing is coming out of here, everybody.
No.
Absolutely nothing. We
Call
love
it
this deck
Fort
box.
Knox.
This is Fort Knox box.
Yeah. Knox box.
This is your Knox
Do you know what,
box.
Ultra Pro? Rename it. You're welcome.
The Knox box. If you want to get this, check it out at Ultra Pro's website. We have a link in the show notes. And if you use that link, or if you use the code GLHF at checkout, you get 5% off your order.
Wow.
Which
That's
just
pretty
do it.
sick.
It's really awesome.
Yeah.
You can stack discounts if you have other ones too, so that's also sick. But check it out. This deck box is second to none, truly. And we made a little commercial about it
Here you
that we're
go.
gonna roll. Maria Bartholdi. Graduating with a degree in attacking with creatures, Meghan cum laude.
Graduate to a better deck box with Ultra Pro.
Well, there you go, everybody. Graduate to a better deck box with Ultra Pro, and we recommend this one.
Gorgeous.
Well, human beings, that's this episode of Good Luck High Five. Thank you once again for spending some time with us, as you do every week, I hope.
Yeah.
We love having you here.
Thank you once again to Nope Nope and Nathan for becoming new donors and increasing their pledges respectively.
Get a shout out next episode by becoming a new patron or having a name that starts with N and becoming a new patron. Challenge
especially
has been issued. Thank you to Ultra Pro. Remember to use our code GLHF for 5% off whatever you get there. Thank you to Card Kingdom for being an incredible sponsor. Once again, to everybody who's a patron over at patreon.com/GLHF Magic, you make the show happen.
Make it happen.
And if you're not following our weekly news show, The Upkeep, highly suggest you check that out.
There was a lot of news this week.
There was a lot of news. We didn't cover it this episode.
Go listen to it.
Listen to The Upkeep. You'll get the news that you need in 10 minutes
10 minutes or less. It takes so little time to get so caught up.
As long as it takes you to walk the dog, listen to The Upkeep, you'll be done.
And we're wildly less depressing than the daily.
That is so true. So true. So check that out, everybody. That's just another service we give you here on Good Luck High Five. And I want you to know about all the stuff that we do.
Yeah.
Because, you're in the fam. You should know all the stuff we create for you every single week. And that's one of them. Video
You're the fam we want to talk to, not jump in the oven to avoid.
Precisely.
Roast with the turkey.
Roast with the turkey. So next week, we'll talk about the new Capenna Championship. We'll know everything about the World Championship coming up this year. New Magic sets. We haven't touched on that yet. We touched on the Upkeep, like we said, but we haven't on Good Luck High Five, and there's so much to dive into. We have a preview card coming up for Baldur's Gate.
Yeah.
Commander Legends.
Wow.
So much on the horizon. We're going to take a pause till next week while Meghan recovers.
That's going to be me fully until next week. So I'll see you in 1 week.
Just nonstop screaming.